Here's our project on the 1920s by Tim Baraka Karanja, Boucher, and Lansfield. A new sports culture was introduced in the 1920s. With the increased involvement of news production in the sports industry, performing athletes would start their rise in fame and were highlighted on many channels. The era of growing sports came with the growth of the sports writers. Famous journalists like Damon Runyon and Grantland Rice brought capturing sports to life during the 1920s. Women of the era. Following the turn of the 20th century, women obtained more individualism, whether it was participating in sports and working a job, or cutting their hair short and showing their ankles. During the decade, women began to challenge political, economic, social, and educational boundaries. They wanted to prove that the role they played was just as vital outside the home as it was inside. For our topic, we chose track and field because we found it interesting and it represents the philosophies, speed, and progression of the 1920s era.
At the turn of the 20th century, sports were on the rise. The introductions of large gymnasiums made for great training grounds, and the spread of radio allowed regular people to keep up with the status of their favorite athletes. Wealth was also more prevalent, so people began paying to gather and spectate sports. Though the Olympics started in the late 19th century, the 1920s was a significant period for Olympic running. In the 1924 Summer Olympics held in Paris, France, it brought legendary athletes like Harold Abrahams and Eric Liddell. Harold Abrahams was one of the most popular sprinters from the 1920s. Harold was born December 15th in 1899 in London. At the age of 25, he became a gold medalist for the 100-meter in the 1924 Summer Olympics in Paris. Harold set 3 Olympic records in his career, and he was the first European to win an Olympic sprint title.
Eric Liddell was one of the most popular sprinters from the 1920s. Eric was born January 16th in 1902. In 1924, he set a record for the 400-meter dash with a 47.6 seconds, winning the gold medal in Paris, France. Liddell died on February 21st, 1945, in a Japanese internment camp during World War II. The first track and field Olympic race was in Greece in 776 BC, and it was 600 feet long. The first modern college track meet was in England in 1864 between Oxford and Cambridge. Usain Bolt became the first man ever to win 3 consecutive gold medals in the 100-meter race, and John Taylor was the first African-American man to win an Olympic gold medal running the 400 meters in the 1600-meter team medley relay. In conclusion, track and field is a sport that has stood the test of time, whether it's from the turn of the 20th century, the stadiums of a Greek city, or our modern Olympics.